Hi everyone, this is Diane. I have all three of these paper doll lacing card journals done. They are really eclectic journals. They're not a paper doll theme, but I have them all done, and this one I'm keeping, and these two will be in my shop when you see the video. Should I schedule it? Yeah, I think I will schedule it out. So you'll see the video at 8 in the morning Eastern time, but I will put these in my shop at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so let's just get right into it because there's a lot to look at. There will be a playlist. Once this uploads, I'll be able to create a playlist, and then I can put the link to the playlist in the description below if you want to see all of the videos, because I pretty much did a start to finish. I didn't intend to, but it ended up being that way. I continued it because you guys were enjoying it so much. So I thought it's a unique kind of journal, so I thought that it would be nice for you to see how I do each step. It's made with a cereal box. You'll be able to see that in the very first video of this series. So it's just a cereal box that I covered with fabric and thin layer of quilt batting, and I have these sort of vintage patched pieces. I guess they are vintage. I don't know how old. And there's some pretty pom-pom trim on the front, and I did put some beads, and I even showed how to do that in the video prior to this one. I showed how to do that, and it's just plain on the back. I put eyelets in it and tied some sari silk through it so that you can tie the book closed. It is 7 inches wide, and this is not the ruler I want. Ten and a half inches tall. I feel like I should put something down so it doesn't make so much noise. I'll just try not to move it around too much. So I had to make the pages wider, which was part of the fun of building the pages out, and that is part of the video series that you will see. This was cut from a journal that I had, just bought at a thrift store and cut apart, and I used this from the title page this journal belongs to. This is a little lunch bag that was apparently a promotion from General Mills cereal. I had the Lucky Charms one and the Trix cereal ones, and I'm down to 2 left now, and I was glad to have a large journal to put them in. I did have to cut off, did I? No, I don't know if I did cut off any of these. Maybe they were just the right size. But anyway, I glued it onto scrapbook paper to extend the page out further. And you'll see that process in the videos. So inside this bag, I have this card that I made. I used a lot of vintage ephemera and vintage cutouts from magazines and catalogs and the like. So you'll see lots of vintage things in this book, and there's lots of space to write on the back. And then on this page, this covers the back of the brown bag because the page doesn't go out that far. And I just glued on this paper doll outfit. This is a vintage envelope, and I put on this vintage cargo sticker for a ship. And then inside the pocket, I put this image from a children's book. It's stitched to a sturdy calendar page. And this little Pure Pork Groundhogs label, vintage. It's a genuine vintage label, and I stitched it to an index card. So the vintage items will vary from book to book because I didn't have enough of everything. This is from a vintage wildflower book, little field guide book. There's a memo paper. I want to put things in this part first. This is a card for some kind of a dance game, or a dance like, what do you call those? Where the caller calls out the moves to do. But this is called Pig in the Parlor. And it has directions here. And it's from 1950. So I think that was here, maybe. Nope, this was in there. Doesn't really matter. You put it back together the way you want to. It's just a little note paper. And this, a vintage little pocket schedule book right there. And here we have the tall memo paper and the field guide book page, this caller's card, and then this little tag with a string attached so it doesn't get lost. This is a toy catalog from a local hardware store in the 1960s. So this is the page of games and activities, crafts. I guess it's all crafts. There's a Play-Doh Fun Factory. And games here. We've got flashcards. Fun. Bingo. Vintage ledger with a stamped piece on it. And I just folded up the bottom of the ledger. It's not glue. You can glue it if you want to, but I put a paper clip on the bottom to hold an antique postcard. This is a digital of a telegram image. I think it's French. And this is part of a coin collector's card. It was accordion style. It opened right out, and I just gave you a couple pieces of it. You can write notes on it. You could glue something on it. And that's a digital picture wheel. And this is a stamped piece. This page is from a vintage, I think it's from the 1960s, book about growing lilies. And I love the illustrations. This is a wallpaper page, and I put this scrap of a inventory ledger page, and there is a wax seal that I made with a rose on it, and I glued it to a doily. This is a Tim Holtz ticket as a pocket, and it has real vintage tickets in it. 2 of them are from Six Flags Great Adventure. This is a European subway ticket, and I'm not sure what this was for, but it is vintage. And then we have another pocket made with a little piece of scrapbook paper. And this is a vintage Denison label that I glued to some paper so you can use it to write on. A craft tag and a digital card. There's a fabric ruffle there. And this is the front part of a vintage 1940s greeting card. I glued it to white cardstock and made it into a pocket. This is the back side of the wallpaper, and this is a digital wallpaper here. We have a sheet from a game called the Sherlock Holmes game. You can journal on that. And then a very vintage bridge score sheet. This is a children's book page, a large one. And it's it's one of those durable ones that children can't ruin very easily. And we have an orange juice advertisement image with a picture of orange juice, and it's artistically done. It's not a photograph, but it's very vivid with the condensation droplets on the side of it. And here is a tag that I made with image from a children's book. Some stamped pieces. And this little tablet, I did put some little punched out pieces on the ends of the strings that tie the signatures in. I made a little tablet out of note paper. This one's vintage. This is from a game. And on the back of the book page, this is the back of a box of modeling clay. The clay was not in the box when I got it. It was just an empty box. And I added this pasteurized cream bottle cap. And this is a tag that I made with some scraps of paper just glued down. I did this on video. And this is a little girl and a donkey from an old magazine. This had one of my tabs punched out of it, but I left that piece on there, just let the paper show through there. These girls are from a vintage 1930s magazine, and that is a vintage gift package label. Vintage ledger here, and ticking fabric and some tulle with flocked polka dots on it. The other side of the wallpaper. And on this side of the ledger paper, I put another stamped image, a vintage order receipt from Meredith Bottling Works, a current postcard. This is a typed recipe for chocolate layer cake. It just has the ingredients, not the directions. You have to know how to put that together and bake it. Which if you do cake baking, you'll know. And this is a donuts recipe, handwritten. And that is a dry cleaner's tag. I did some more stamping. I had these stamped images in my stash. I just pulled them out and glued some down. Some more games from the toy catalog. Then we have Quick Draw McGraw, and I forgot his partner's name. I used to love playing with the Etch-a-Sketch. There's Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. They used to just have the pieces. Let me look at this closely. I think that this is like the original set. It just has the pieces, and you use a real potato and stick the pieces in the real potato. That's what they look like. My uncle had one. My uncle was, I don't know, maybe 5 years or less older than my oldest brother, so he was a kid too. And here we have the Western toys. It's fun to look at those old toy catalogs. This is a double pocket. This one goes in sideways and this one goes in the top. Here's another pieced tag that I made with scraps of paper, some fabric scraps, and some images from a sewing book, sewing pattern catalog. And this is a tag for Princess Cruises. Join me in Anchorage. And in this little side pocket, I have an advertisement for skates and a tag made with a vintage envelope, 1965, and a Morton Salt Girl playing card. On this page, we have a couple of Project Life cards that you can write on, and a library pocket. You can actually write on that. Another advertisement glued to cardstock for Kellogg's Wheat Krispies. They stay crisp. He's jumping in the water with them. And the library pocket has a bottle of perfume from a vintage magazine. I stamped that number. And the second signature, we have a bridge tally pad cover, and I sewed it to this yearbook photo and added a ruffle, and that becomes a tuck spot. And I tucked in this advertisement with it's for sheets and pillowcases, but it has a little cats dressed up, which is really cute, and you can write on the back. And then this is a vintage ad for Beech Nut Gum. I have a paper clip here with a vintage Del Monte fruit cocktail can image. And that is holding this, if I can get it off, holding this flap closed. I glued down the film strip and the photograph. A little girl, I think she's holding a kitty, and she's sitting on the, what do you call those? There's a name for those, running board? I don't know, but it's on the, it helps you step up into the car. And a petty cash voucher. This paper clip holds that in. If I can paper clip it in while it's still there. Guess I'll just do it this way. Yeah, that works. And it's even right side up. Okay, this is a piece of ticking fabric. I made a page out of it and added this coaster from a little sports bar restaurant that my family and I went to. And this is a row of photos from a yearbook. I did not glue them to anything because you can glue them to a strip of cardstock and then write on the back, or you can cut them apart and use them throughout the journal. Here is a claim check ticket and a Project Life card. A flashcard. I added a tab, and then I sewed this Borden's coupon on it. It's vintage. And this is a time card. I just put a scrap of paper on it and an image from a sewing pattern catalog. Another ledger, vintage ledger page. And this is a letterhead for Julius Schwartz and Sons Company, or Incorporated, Boys Prep and Students Clothing in New York, New York. Here's another tablet. Has a very old, early 1900s image from a magazine. It's actually, the magazine was from the early 1900s. Lots of journaling space on these pages for you. And you could glue photos down here. This is a digital. Someone asked me about this digital kit because it is very striking, the pastel colors and the numbers, and I loved it. It is Art House typography, and house is German spelling, H-A-U-S, Art House typography. And I can't remember the name of the shop right off the top of my head, so I guess I have to glue some things on these strings. I will link it below. And I built this page out with a card, and it's a genuine card, original card. It has stuff glued on top, like they didn't like what was done, so they changed it and glued something on top, and you can feel where the glued pieces are, or they just pieced it together before they made copies or whatever of it that they did. So a complete printing plate service with engraving. And I added some stamped pieces. And behind it, it formed a pocket the way I glued it on. And you can see the back of the card and where the rusty paper clip was. This is from a vintage magazine, a knitting book. So you could knit that sweater. And this is a vintage postcard for International Doll World, 1992. It's not really a postcard, it's just a collector's card. I've had those for a long time. I thought it was about time I used them. This is from a vintage magazine, Butterfinger candy bars. And I glued this digital paper, which I also use paper from this collection up here. And that might be from Polka Dot Pixels. Not sure, but that's what my guess would be. This is the other side of that letterhead paper, and there's an old photograph that I sewed to black cardstock. And I put this printed bias tape on it. This is from a craft book about dyeing from plants. And this is a vintage luggage tag or some sort of a tag like that. You would fill out your name, but it was for the Carlton House in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh's newest and finest completely air-conditioned hotel. I had enough of those cards to put one in each journal. On this side of the fabric, I put a vintage Comstock pie sliced apples image on cardstock and just pinned it on here with a bulb pin. This is an image, a photograph from a vintage yearbook of cheerleaders. There's 2 digital tags in here and 1 tag that I stamped and cut out. And on the ledger, I didn't say that the doll, I didn't talk about this doll. I got these dolls at a flea market some time ago, and they're not in the best condition. You can see where her neck is bent, and some skin was taken off her leg where it was taped. So they're not in perfect condition, but they have their outfits, and they are dress-up dolls. So I think I'm going to get some yarn out of here, and these are from other lace-up cards that I've gotten. I didn't have any of the yarn for these, but if I have enough yarn that's long enough, I will. These wouldn't require much yarn because it's just a very small area, but I can sew an outfit on the doll and put her back in the pocket. I think I'll sew that one on her. So I wanted to say that all the outfits that were available with these dolls are in the pockets. One of the dolls didn't come with as many outfits because they were used and played with, and probably some of them got lost. So one of them, I don't remember which one, maybe it's this one, didn't have quite as many clothing or accessories. That's one of her outfits. This is a cardstock with a crochet piece or a cotton lace piece glued to it and some digital images, and I made this tag with a shipping tag and vintage music, vintage magazine image, and a vintage photograph complete with original tape. And this is a little vintage price sticker that says 2 for 15 cents. This is from a car repair shop or maintenance shop. Oh, I guess I did glue that down. Okay, I won't rip it open. But I just glued that on for fun, and you can write, you can journal on there. And I tucked in a couple of vintage pieces. This is a 1965 pocket calendar. And because the pocket is long and these are small, they could slip out, so I just put a paper clip on that. Last signature. This is a page about fractions or, oh, yeah, I don't know. It's a page out of a book, and I thought it was really cool. And I made this double pocket here. Put some fabric at the top. This is a vintage, these are both vintage pharmacy labels. This is a vintage, part of a booklet cover with some sort of tickets on it. I think it's a train because it says, I can see the word aboard started here. Probably it's our pleasure to have you come aboard or something like that. That's what I would translate that to be. So I just tucked that in there. We've got a couple little skirts. This one goes over this if you want it to, or it can go without it. I put those in this short pocket. And in the back pocket, I have an antique 1906 postcard. Just an index card. And this is a digital of a ticket that I have, tag that I have. And this is a vintage, not antique, but it's ink blotter for an insurance company. I mean, an insurance company probably gave these away as a free gift, but they're from 1912, maybe? I don't know. That's not right. That's just part of this. 1948, it says over here, so that might be the year this was printed. And then this is a receipt, a very old receipt, 1895. unused. I slide it in at the same time. It's too flimsy to go down by itself. Then I have a fabric ruffle here, which looks like I need to glue on again. And inside this pocket, which has a vintage ad and a vintage flower sticker on it, is a page from a penmanship book for using a pen nib that you would dip into ink. It has different fonts, so the other journals have similar page but with different fonts. There's a page from an autograph book, an unused one, a page of a desk memorandum, vintage, and this is from a vintage magazine, a package of cookies, and I just glued it to cardstock. There's a page from a Gyo Fujikawa children's book, typing paper with a little bit of lace glued to it. This is a shorter scrapbook paper, and I glued some little girls' dresses from the Montgomery Ward catalog from the 1950s, I think. And I made this little triangle pocket, corner pocket, with a milk bottle cap, a ledger card, vintage ad, a vintage library recipe card divider, and smaller pieces for the paper doll. I'm not sure if this goes in here. Let's see if the American Indian outfit is in here. This is just scrapbook paper and digital paper that I glued to the white side of this scrapbook paper. Here's the cover of a booklet about milk and all-around food. And this was a long piece that came with this train. I don't know how it worked, but it had to do with music. And I just had this piece of ephemera, so I was able to cut it into pieces, and I put it in I think I have one piece in each book. And I used another sewing card to just extend this page out. And this was already threaded the way it is now. I didn't do anything to it. Yeah, we do have the Native American costume in here. There's another piece of that art house paper, a digital label and some digital loyalty stamps, and another piece of this paper, and some more outfits. So I think this is the book, or the doll that had fewer outfits than the other ones. This has a border punch on it, on the typing paper. And this is that printed paper. And I just glued this sheer, it's a tissue paper. I think it would be considered tissue paper, but it has printing on it, and it was used by the New York Railroad Central System. And I put on this library pocket with some digitals, and this opens up into 4 receipts that you can use throughout the journal if you want to. And a library card, and this little paper doll is a reproduction of an advertising doll. You can glue her together if you want to, just glue her shut. But she's double-sided, and her head will come out if you wiggle it the right way. But if you want to, you can glue her shut so she doesn't come apart. On the back cover, I have wallpaper. I love that wallpaper. And this is a weekly time card and a large tag that was already made and in my stash yearbook photo here. The math workbook, my signature is on the back. That took a long time to do, so I'll do the next one more quickly. I don't know the dolls' names, so they'll each have their own listing. The the American Indian headdress said Nancy, so I'm going to call, I think it said Nancy. I'll call her Nancy. I didn't show the beads on the first one, but they all have fun beads that match the color, the cover, and then some fun things like a balloon dog that's flocked, a rubber ducky that's not really rubber, pretty butterflies, just lots of fun things. So this is a sturdier fabric, and white sari silk to close it. Love this patchwork piece. I used a Snoopy card on the front, but instead of "This book belongs to," it says "From the record collection of." This one is the Tricks Rabbit. There's a card in there with vintage magazine image. And I probably won't pull everything out of this one because I need to go faster. Has the same sorts of things in there. In the pocket, we have this card and an orange label that's written in German, I believe. And that's a paper doll outfit, leopard coat. And I just love these cargo certificates. Here is the toy page. We have blocks and the tool bench. Lots of fun things here. Puzzle. Ooh, cash registers. They were always fun to play with. This one is, you can order a cigarette. It's like a vending machine for cigarettes, for candy cigarettes. There's a clock. In this one, we have this vintage card and 2 digitals. Wallpaper. This is a greeting card, and that's a digital for wallpaper. And this is a box from Johnson & Johnson bandage, a roll of bandage. And she's from a vintage 1930s or 40s magazine. This is Little Miss Muffet, in case you couldn't tell. Chocolate milk here. Baba Black Sheep. Here's another picture of that orange juice. The other one had a dotted line up here, and this one has it down here. I don't know if it's showing you the differences in quantity that you get in 2 different brands of orange juice. I'm not sure. I didn't read the ad. This is a really fun card that I made recently in a video. And it's just, I love it, with the elephant and the giraffe and this graph on the top and stamps. They don't go together, but I just love them together. This is an eclectic book, so that's an eclectic tag. There's a tablet, and this is from a vintage magazine. Got the same tickets there. Recipe cards. These are the building toys, Lincoln Logs and Tinker Toys. We had those at my house. My brothers had them. And my brother, one of them had an erector set too, which were made out of metal pieces. Some games. These look like Dr. Seuss characters, are they? Just says 3 wacky new animals. I think they were inspired by Dr. Seuss. They had to have been. I love this vintage trim here. There's a tag that I made, and this one is a layaway ticket. Very tall one. And there are some pieces tucked in there. These little pieces that I glued onto the library pocket are digitals. That's an antique, or not antique, but vintage advertisement. Here's the double pocket with some dresses inside and a little Jello booklet. Antique or vintage. vintage pharmacy labels. You got the same receipt here and another ink blotter for a printing press business. The same copy of a shipping tag and an antique postcard, 1913, and an index card. Pretty ruffle that Carrie, the paper monkey, made. Thank you, Carrie. This one is for perfume. Here's another one of those pages. And same things tucked in. And instead of the cookie package, we have a cracker package. Isn't that fun? Again, lace on the typing paper. Little girls' dresses. Paper doll clothes. This opens up for journaling. And this is the cover of a Clabber Girl baking book. I think Clabber was the brand for baking soda or baking powder. And this was from a book, an old booklet, and it's a transistor radio. And I think that they were toys and items that you could win for selling things. I'm not sure. There's a lace-up card. And it extends the page a little bit. Not much, but a little. And I added this paper doll. You can cut her out, cut the dress out. She was advertising Varaxine, and she is a replica, but she is vintage still. That tag is vintage, and that's vintage. Here is the tuck spot with the vintage card and yearbook photos and a ruffle. This was an introduction to the National Broadcasting Company, NBC. An old chair and coffee. This image here came out of a yearbook, a vintage yearbook, and I just wrapped it around the edge of the page. And we have the film strip and a photo and the petty cash voucher. You only need one in there. I adjusted the picture and some glue residue stuck there, so can't get that off. You can cover it if you want to, just right along there. Here's that Tully's coaster and more photos from the yearbook. Here's another page from that outhouse paper pad. And another one of the engraving business cards, samples or whatever. It was glued to something at some time. Another knitting book page, paper doll card, and an image, or advertisement for beech nut gum. Is that what the other one was? Here's an old photo. Looks like they're going to the prom or something like that. Very sweet picture. And this came from a craft book, How to Make a Tie. And it's got a tie here. Background for the instructions. So I made a tag out of that a long time ago. And I have a place to put it finally. This one has a stack of Star-Kissed tuna cans pinned to it. Another yearbook photo with the brass section of a band, high school band. These are both digitals. There's just a Libby's peach can paper clipped up there. You can move it where you want to and clip something to your journal. There's nothing clipped to it. I just wanted to include it. This one is a Holiday Inn golfer's meal ticket. It has 4 punches in it. Well, 8. And then these are X'd out. So I wonder if it means they just didn't have their whole punch with them. I don't know. Another crochet pocket and paper doll clothing and another tag. And the back pocket has the brand new wallpaper roll. I bought a roll of it at the flea market last week, and I just love the colors. So there's pink and yellow and blue. So I put the yellow flower here, and on my journal I used a pink one. Here is a tag that I made a while ago. It's got my signature on it. And for an additional ephemera piece, this is a menu. Lehigh Valley Restaurant, Ithaca, New York. So let me show you mine very quickly. I won't talk much for this one. Better put the doll back in here. This one has the doll page. I loved dolls when I was growing up. Vintage greeting card. It's got cellophane behind the bucket to make it look like water, I guess. Modeling clay box. Love that image. It's an old magazine image. I put this paper clip on here because this opens up and I don't want it just flapping around and getting bent. Wallpaper. And I loved anything playing house. Coconut oil shampoo. These are digitals, the iron and the doll case. That's ink bladder. Antique postcard. Index card. And doll clothes. This is face powder. Envelope face powder is all gone. And mine has a box of Hydrox cookies. And this cover is Marvelous Meals with Minute Tapioca. There's my lace-up card. I think that little bird is adorable. Got more clothes here. This is a photo booth strip. 1960. So sweet. This one has a label from Vintage Gift Wrap. 15 cents for 2 sheets. St. Joseph's Aspirin for Children. There's my photograph, lady in the garden or in the yard holding some flowers. I didn't put a bundle together yet to go with these journals, but I will do that. So that'll be a surprise. This yearbook photo is majorettes on the field. Carol syrup. Some vintage pieces here. It's a photo of a little boy on a tricycle. Vintage ad for shoes. And here is the pink flowered wallpaper. I have to put a tag in there. Oh, I think this was supposed to be in there. I put it in the wrong place when I put it back together. It's got my signature on the back, even though it's mine. That way my kids will know which journals I made. And this is a card for a free wallpaper book sample for Sears. There they are. These were a labor of love. I had so much fun using up a lot of stuff and being eclectic. I love that. So, and you seem to enjoy it too. I had lots of good comments on these videos. So the other two will be in my shop at 4 p.m. Eastern Time today when you see this video, which I'm hoping will be Wednesday, but whatever day it is, if this video goes up, they'll be there in the shop. I'll leave the shop linked below, and I'll leave the Art House Typography Digital Kit linked below. I'll see you in the next video, whatever it may be, and I hope you're having a creative day. Bye.